a sense.
Let's move on to the next story. The Flynn saga has apparently come to an end. It is so sad. So sad. The Flynn saga, we hardly knew you. You were with us but a short time, and your candle has finally burned out. So Judge Sullivan has finally dismissed against General Michael Flynn, a hero, a patriot, who was set up and framed for all purposes by the FBI. But apparently, me thinking that is completely wrong, because the judge made a point of saying any objective look at this, you wouldn't have any suspicion about what the National Security Director wrote in their memo. So yeah, the General Flynn's case has been dismissed in view of the pardon, as Sullivan does his best fainting couch, pearl clutching routine I've ever seen in my life. It's grade A for legal drama. Flynn, free the Flynn. Flynn is finally free, man. What do you have to say, Nate? What's Viva going to talk about now?
I don't know. But the thing is that I think we all agreed Flynn, the right outcome with Flynn happened. But I think Sullivan got his wish, because we all said,
he absolutely got his wish.
Like, was this a surprise to you or anyone? We all said Sullivan is playing for the pardon. If he doesn't get the pardon, Sullivan's going to take it out of him after January 20th. He got the pardon, so it's over. There was no way Sullivan was going to rule on his motion to dismiss before January 20th. You know,
I was only slightly surprised, because I was giving it a non-zero chance that he wasn't going to dismiss despite the pardon. And we had the whole chat where we had that whole thing where you're chatting at me as I was live streaming from my house saying this. You're like, he doesn't have jurisdiction. I'm like, yes, I understand literally all the things. I understand all the words coming out of your mouth, but still I'm putting non-zero on it.
Yeah, at that
so
point.
I was only slightly surprised that he didn't, because he gave some things about the pardon being overbroad. He made some allusions, but he didn't want to go there. He didn't want to make the Court of Appeals shove it down his throat, which is sad. Yeah. If he had gone that way, I was going to make Viva pay me double. Because if he refused to dismiss even in light of the pardon, I was like, we had agreed bets off in the event of a pardon. But despite the fact we said bets off in the event of a pardon, if he refused to dismiss anyway, I was going to make Viva pay me double, because I feel like I get 2-1 on that at that payoff at that point.
And I want to ask you something. Interesting question I just thought about now. Flint's pardon was definitely crazy. He pardoned him for almost everything. But can a president pardon someone for crimes that have not been committed as of yet, or even not even been investigated? So could they make Flint's pardon? We pardon you against all crimes now in the future against the United States. Could that be a legitimate pardon?
No, I don't think you can make them forward-looking. So I think you would have to interpret the pardon as limited by the date it was issued. So any federal crimes that were committed as of that date. But so even though it wasn't necessarily written in those terms, I think you'd have to interpret that way. So it was written to deal with the underlying charge and any charge flowing from that, any charge that was in the special jurisdiction of the special prosecutor. So the thing was written to deal with any contempt, any sort of obstruction, any sort of perjury, any sort of that stuff, trying to deal with all that stuff. But yeah, I don't think you can go past the day of the pardon. I don't think you can pardon someone in advance. I don't think that really makes sense.
Because I know Nixon was pardoned, but his crimes happened before the pardon, because he was pardoned.
Sure.
He wasn't charged, he wasn't indicted, he wasn't anything. It was like, all right, just in case, we're going to pardon you. And the pardon covered his presidency, right?
Yeah, and it said its own dates on its own terms. It said any crimes committed between these dates.
Yeah.
So even though Flynn's pardon didn't specify the dates, any federal crime happening on or before this date, I think any judge would have to interpret that way.
Yeah,
because I think you can't pardon, and then to go to the other extreme of, well, the pardon isn't valid at all because it's attempting to pardon things beyond its term, and therefore it's not valid. So therefore there really isn't a pardon. That was where I thought that Sullivan would be going, because he's just that insane. That's how low my respect is for Sullivan. My respect is so low that I thought he was going to go for some really crazy shit.
He should just let Flynn go a long time ago. I just don't understand it. But, especially when you get...
No, can't have that, because, he wants to be the new AG or something. I don't know what he's angling for, but he wants to be something.
I don't know. But, well, hey, Sullivan's still in the bitch. He's got a lifetime appointment, so he's not going nowhere. What can you do? Impeach him.
If wishing made it so, Nate. If wishing made it so. I think we've only successfully impeached, 8, 9 federal judges? We could get to an even 10. That'd be nice.
Yeah. Well, wasn't Sullivan going to be elevated to the Court of Appeals, but didn't want to go or something like that? What happened with that? I thought he was like elevated one time or something. I have to
Ooh, you
look,
might be
but
right. I can't remember, but I think what you're saying makes sense. But I wouldn't swear to it one way or another. But what you're
yeah.
saying could be right.
Oh,
But yeah, so now Viva has to find something else to make videos about. So yeah, Flynn pardon, Viva hardest hit is
yeah.
basically the takeaway. So
That took me a while.
a drink one to you, brother Viva, because you no longer have content. So cheers to you, Viva. Hope it works out.
Well, what are we going to do now? Because well, I'm not sure where the story is, but we have like these huge disagreements. It seems like with Viva and Barnes with the recent cases. When you get to them in the list, but it's like
Yeah, I saved
really
it for last.
yeah.
I saved it for last.
Because we
Not
have
for any particular reason. It's just the order I put it in.
go ahead. So what's next? Now I'm excited to see what's next.